Bienvenidos a otro video. El día de hoy toca otra vez un Death Battle porque al parecer no tengo ideas para hacer otra cosa. Perdón si no he subido tantos shorts. Me fui al chile, lo voy a decir, me dio algo de flojera. Y aparte estoy editando unos videos ahí. Ya hice la grabación donde yo y Sharon reaccionamos al octavo episodio del Circo Digital. Y pues ahí todavía me quedan varias cosas por hacer shorts. También regresé de un campamento que fui con mi familia al rancho Cañada del Sol. Y pues ahí nos fuimos el viernes y nos quedamos hasta el domingo, o sea, hoy. Así que vamos a reaccionar a este Death Battle, que es Bakugo vs Reze. Ahora, antes de que le dé play, antes de que hiciera el video, ya me encontré con 2 spoilers. Y ya, como que ya sé quién va a ganar, ya sé quién gana. Pero para los que son nuevos, para los que no han visto el Death Battle, no voy a decir ni pex. Solo ya sé quién va a ganar.
Es obvio.
Ajá. Pero no lo voy a decir para los que no saben. Así que le estoy haciendo el favor. Ahí está. Así que sin nada más que decir, pues comencemos.
Well, look who's here.
No voy a comprar eso. Oh, right.
Bakugo versus Reze, the god of explosions versus the bomb devil. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who will win a death battle.
Ahora que lo pienso, debí haber visto la película del Chainsaw Man. Porque, pues para tener contexto, pero ya valió, ya estoy aquí.
Wiz, there's nothing like the smell of napalm in the morning, the rush of the shockwave, the flash of combustion. I love it when stuff goes boom. And no one knows that feeling better than Katsuki Bakugo. When your name literally means powerful bomb, it's no wonder he was born with the quirk explosion. It lets Bakugo create humongous kabooms from his palms.
Alias Bombshell Hero, nunca había escuchado eso. Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. En español, ahí para los que no saben, esto se dice el gran dios asesino de las explosiones Dynamite, o algo así, no me acuerdo.
You can only dream of having hands that red. Quirks are genetic superpowers that most humans are born with.
Ya por fin
Bakugo inherited his quirk from his parent.
Por fin ya me vi todo My Hero Academia. Ya estos spoilers ya no me afectan en nada. Por fin, ay que feo.
Specifically, it was a combination of his father's combustible acid sweat and his mother's glycerin skin secretions, making Bakugo's sweat basically like nitroglycerin. And the more he sweats, the bigger the booms. His parents basically made the perfect kid, absolutely oozing with shonen.
Perdón por posar tanto.
Main character.
Entonces, aquí van 2 cosas. Aunque ya sepa quién ganó, no sé cómo ganaron y tampoco sé cómo fue la pelea, solo sé quién ganó. Y dato curioso que nadie pidió.
Energy. Bakugo felt similarly, so much so that he started bullying his childhood friend who happened to be born without a quirk. Yeah, okay, he's kind of a snot-nosed turd sometimes, but come on, Wiz! The kabooms! They're so cool! Quirks are a natural biological feature of a person's body. In the same way that we don't really think about walking or breathing, Bakugo's explosions became like any other limb, especially with his rigorous training. Bakugo quickly picked up on how to use his explosions to obliterate anything in sight, block attacks, launch himself around, and quickly maneuver in midair at hypersonic speeds, which requires a ton of focus and on-the-fly calculations. And despite getting this incredibly dangerous quirk when he was 4, he somehow never killed himself or anyone else that we know of. Bakugo was truly a prodigy, destined for greatness. And his only goal was to surpass Japan's numero uno superhero and his personal idol, All Might.
in Bakugo's mind, the only person who wins no matter what. Absolute victory. No problem for the main character.
Except Katsuki wasn't the protagonist that he thought he was. That would be Izuku Midoriya, the quirkless child Bakugo bullied. In truth, he was threatened by Izuku's tenacity despite being quirkless.
Really? That crybaby's the main character? Well, Bakugo's inferiority complex would only get worse when Deku somehow landed a quirk that was just as cool, and both were accepted to the same superhero high school, UA High.
There, he would learn to be a superhero and fully develop his ultimate moves.
Like flying through the sky faster than sound with turbo speed, blinding people with stun grenade, focusing his blasts into armor-piercing shots, or making a big-ass tornado of death.
The howitzer impact involves Bakugo spinning himself in midair with his explosions, building up a tremendous amount of swirling oxygen, and then igniting it all for one hell of a boom.
He's pretty smart when it comes to strategizing mid-fight. He even developed new techniques for his quirk faster than Deku did.
UA High also aided Bakugo's development by preparing him with his iconic Grenadier bracers,
gauntlets
that allow him to store up his sweat for prolonged bouts, or to release all of it at once in a single massive blast.
He's also got his hero suit, which helps him sweat faster in order to build up stronger attacks. Or the Strafe Panzer, these badass turrets mounted to his back that store his sweat as ammo. With all of that, it wasn't long before Bakugo made his hero debut, called the Bombshell Hero, Great Explosion Murder God, Dynamite. Hey, I dig it. The more colons, the merrier.
But despite some early wins, Bakugo failed to live up to his own sky-high expectations. He had the makings of a great hero, if only he could get out of his own way and put the team before his ego.
Especially when he was kidnapped by the League of Villains, ultimately leading Bakugo to blame himself for All Might's retirement. Something needed to change.
So he vented his frustrations in a slugfest with Deku and realized something crucial. That the kind of absolute victory that defined All Might wasn't victory for himself, but victory for everyone.
He was starting to become the prodigy everyone knew he could be. I mean, hell, even while he was unconscious, he kept analyzing the fight he was in and coming up with counters. Somehow,
Bakugo's powerful enough to shatter Todoroki's heaven-piercing ice wall, fast enough to keep up with villains like Shigaraki, who can catch light beams, and tough enough to survive, well,
being dead? Yep, you heard us. Bakugo was killed, dead as a doornail. And then a single bead of sweat floating through his bloodstream detonated and restarted his heart. If that isn't main character plot armor, I don't know what is.
His stamina is perhaps the craziest thing about him. After all, he is tanking the recoil of all of his explosions.
Even with the overuse of his blasts literally tearing his body apart, he kept trying to make him stronger, and eventually his quirk awakened.
Essentially, when a quirk evolves to become stronger. Now, by condensing his explosions into smaller and more powerful clusters, Bakugo could enhance all of his techniques.
Like the Howitzer Impact Cluster, a stunning achievement in the field of explosionology, or kaboom theory for the layman.
Powerful enough to shatter the side of a mountain, or blow apart UA High itself. Judging by the school's size, we can estimate Bakugo's Howitzer Impact Cluster yielded over 300 kilotons of TNT.
Given Bakugo's whole deal is explosions, it makes sense to science out what a ton of TNT actually is. It's literally the energy contained in 1,000 kilograms of trinitrotoluene,
a chemical compound composed of hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon.
That's the recipe for kabooms. Now, imagine a pile of TNT as big as the Empire State Building blowing up all at once. That's Bakugo's Howitzer Impact Cluster.
And these explosions can launch him so fast, it's like time stands still around him.
Like when he covered a huge part of this city in a fraction of a second, almost 400 times the speed of sound.
And that's not all. Now he can detonate his sweat remotely, and from all over his body, not just his palms.
With all of this crazy bullshit, Bakugo became one of the strongest heroes on Earth, enough to battle and defeat All Might's lifelong arch nemesis, All for One. Yeah, that's right, the main villain. Who's the protagonist now, Deku?
Bakugo literally and figuratively surpassed his childhood idol and proved his mettle as a hero.
Number 5 on the rankings and rising. Not bad, Kachan.
What's more important than proving it to his friends, to All Might, or even to Deku? he proved it to himself.
Yeah, whatever. Take that, losers! Sickest quirk in the world over here! Dynamite! Dynamite! Dynamite!
Cállate. Yo debería saber todo eso que dijeron, pero
What happened to you? Click funny.
¿Qué? Tremendo peluche. XD. No lo voy a comprar. Ahí está.
Death, war, famine, conquest. Humanity has been plagued by all manner of ills since they first crawled out of the primordial ooze. In the world of Chainsaw Man, there is nothing to fear but fear itself.
Because fear itself is real, and they're called devils.
Literally devils from hell. These monstrous beings are the living embodiments of humanity's worst nightmares, and their power is directly proportional to that fear.
So the chicken devil might be so weak you can keep him as a class pet, like, you know, a chicken. But what about the bat devil, or the ghost devil, or the devil embodying man's fears of one of the greatest weapons it's ever created, the bomb devil?
So I'm writing an essay on cats. Cats in art history. I'm an art history.
Little is known about the origins of the Bomb Devil's current host, Reze, if that even is her real name.
She might look cute and kawaii, but she's actually a Soviet assassin trained from birth to be one of the deadliest.
Oh, es la URSS. Sort of. Como que le gusta más o menos Denji. Le gustan las flores, el café. En un punto el creador del manga fue RC fue la favorita de este vato. No se sabe cuántos años tienen. Bomb Devil Hybrid. Aquí ocupación super soldado. Ok, es bilingüe. Sabe pues ruso, pues de la URSS. Yo no sabía eso, de la Unión Soviética. Iba la Unión Soviética. A mí me gusta la URSS, se callan.
Killers on the planet, basically a Black Widow, a cold and lonely existence for anyone, but quadruply so in a world as effed up as this.
But all Reze wanted was a safe, normal, quiet life, as much a fable to her as Aesop's country mouse.
Too bad! You are now a walking, talking explosive. Have fun.
Oh.
At some point, the girl known as Reze was implanted with a fragment of the Bomb Devil and became a hybrid, a human possessing a devil's powers without sacrificing their humanity, transforming their body into a living weapon.
As a hybrid, Reze's strength and speed are way crazier than a normal human's, and with her martial arts training, she's a force to be reckoned with up close. Also, Wiz, check out the bomb for a head!
Someone like Reze would eat you alive, literally.
Oh, no.
Should devils like Reze take any damage whatsoever, they can heal by consuming blood.
And that lets hybrids survive.
Este video sí va a estar bien editado con las censuras que voy a tener que poner ahí para RC. Oh, Dios.
Some pretty insane stuff, like having their limbs torn off, getting bisected clean in half, or being roasted alive. Just slurp some blood and they're good as new.
Especially useful considering the Bomb Devil's primary ability is literally blowing herself up. Reze can emit explosions from any surface of her body, even tearing off limbs and turning them into bombs that she can detonate at will.
Damn, that's hardcore! She can use these blasts to jet through the sky at hypersonic speeds, maneuver and redirect herself in midair, and enhance the strength and speed of her blows.
Or Reze can send sparks that can ignite the atmosphere in explosions that tear apart entire cities. Making herself stronger the more fear her wanton destruction creates.
As long as the area around her is dry enough to maintain ignition, Reze can create as many explosions as she wants, non-stop.
She can even turn her own body into different types of real-world bombs to massively enhance their power.
Like transforming her leg into a torpedo, or her apron into dynamite. Every single inch of Reze is a living weapon.
This made her feared across the devil world as one of their mightiest warriors, and the perfect choice to assassinate Japan's newly acquired devil hybrid, Chainsaw Man.
You see, you might not think chainsaws are all that scary, at least not compared to bombs, but the Chainsaw Devil is special.
Any devil the Chainsaw Devil consumes becomes deleted from reality, retroactively erased from humanity's collective consciousness.
And here I thought chainsaws were for boring stuff like trees or Texas massacres. Silly me.
This ability makes the Chainsaw Devil the most important being alive and invaluable for any global power to control.
Except instead of meeting the fearsome chainsaw of legend, Reze met Denji, a dumb, horny teenage boy just looking for anyone, to love.
And for once, Reze actually hesitated. Rather than immediately kill her target, she got to know him and found they weren't so different. Both were used as tools of the state, as weapons of war rather than people. A kindred spirit in a hostile world, Denji wanted to drink up as much of the excitement of life as he could. The town mouse to her country mouse.
And thankfully, he was super easy for a pretty face to manipulate.
It wouldn't be the only time.
Reze's nothing if not professional, and she gave Denji one parting gift. To teach him the way devils did battle before he died.
As the embodiment of one of the deadliest weapons known to man, Reze's power is off the charts, capable of creating an explosion more than 400 meters in diameter. That's over 4 football fields long.
To have a blast that size, you'd need to be exploding with over 2 kilotons of TNT.
More than comparable to nuclear weapons, which is really impressive considering Reze is not the devil of nuclear bombs. That's apparently an entirely separate thing.
Despite her bombs being technically conventional, they're just that strong.
Likely comparable to other powerful devils like the Gun Devil, who could travel across the world and kill millions of people in 5 minutes.
That'd be over 500 times the speed of sound.
She's even stronger than the Typhoon Devil, a sentient city-spanning storm.
The literal coughing baby to her hydrogen bomb.
Unfortunately for Reze, Denji took her lessons to heart and
sin cabeza su máquina. Blitz Denji, ¿cómo que Blitz? ¿Quién es Nomo? ¿Quién es Kato? ¿Quién es Beam? Creo que me acuerdo quién es Beam. Es un tiburón y la cosa.
Proved he was more than a fitting host for the Chainsaw Devil.
He whooped her ass, but spared her life. Just in case her seduction wasn't a total act after all.
But it wasn't meant to be. Whether Reze chose the safe life of the country mouse or the exciting life of the town mouse, there are hungry cats everywhere.
Oh, Makima, what I would give to find someone to kill you.
Reze's dreams of freedom were never realized. She simply changed hands from one cold, unfeeling entity to another. And this time, there was no escape. She was a weapon, a symbol of man's bottomless capacity for malice and self-destruction.
No, ya no tiene caso ver la peli.
The battle's about to start, and I hope you've got something good to hear.
Okay, aquí vamos. Bomba versus bomba.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
Valiendo. Así nomás. Bueno.
I've been sent to collect your head, Dynamite.
Okay.
Better villains than you have tried,
ok, se tomaron ok, sí, eso superaron eso, qué chido, no quería censurar todas las peleas, eso sería bien difícil. Bueno.
How would I tell them that if I
3D.
was already dead?
Su máquina es bien
Wow,
fácil.
you're quick.
Cállate. Bueno. Que te calles. Foto, se andan cambiando de estilo de animación. Ahora 2D. Tenemos extra agua. Ajá. Igual sin cabeza, vale.
Damn. Oh, damn.
Ya andan sprites 3D y ahora animación 2D. Ok. Ay, güey. Te vas a morir. Está mojado. Impacto, agüita. Push.
Move it or lose it, people.
Bueno.
Me, Dynamite.
Let go of me.
Ajá. 3D, regresamos. Push. Baby Dynamite, quítate, wow. Su máquina.
Leave them out of this.
Ya le chingó un brazo. Bueno.
was delicious.
Sí, blood was bueno. El awaken.
You bit off a bit
Otra
more
vez
than you can
Sprite.
chew. My blood isn't the only thing you drank. It's my sweat you should worry about, dumbass.
Oh, güey. Oh, hostia. Eso no me lo
My
esperaba.
sweat you should worry about,
Algo así, pero...
dumbass.
Ya partió la mitad. Jaja, valió. Ok. Mis ojos. Se ríe maniáticamente.
Aiming for absolute victory. Howitzer. Impact. Cluster.
Wow. Sí, ya es un poquito over here. What? So. Tuve. Push. No push.
Scratch that. Not enough for a coffin.
No, hombre, pues. Sí, ya sabía que iba a ganar Bakugo por dos spoilers, pero no sabía que iba a ser así a su máquina.
Angie, we're so sorry to hear about your girlfriend that passed away. She got 5 big booms. Boom! Boom!
Please
Sí, ya
just shut
sé.
up. On the surface, these two seem evenly matched.
pues,
So let's break this fight down into 3 categories: their speed, their stamina, and their firepower.
First up, let's talk speed.
Both Bakugo
Todo
and
lo-
Reze
todo
could
bien.
rocket through the sky at hypersonic speeds and maneuver and redirect themselves on a dime in the middle of fights. To the casual observer, at least, they'd seem to be on par with each other.
So we have to look at the people they've fought to compare.
Reze has
Así.
battled Chainsaw Man, who can match and defeat someone using the Gun Devil's power.
The same gun devil that could literally fly around the world, killing millions of people at over 500 times the speed of sound.
Impressive, but compare that to Bakugo fighting Shigaraki, who could react fast enough to catch light beams with his bare hands.
That's over 1,000 times faster. And that was before Bakugo's quirk awakening that made him even
wait.
faster than that.
With reaction speed of that caliber, there's little chance Reze could ever get the drop on Bakugo, and would likely be forced to play catch-up in a duel. Speed goes to Bakugo.
However,
Nice.
speed doesn't matter if one couldn't truly hurt the other. A big part of this fight is their stamina.
Bakugo's durability is mind-boggling. He's survived being impaled through the torso and has even brought himself back to life.
But, unlike Reze, his stamina does eventually hit a limit. Every
Por
explosion
eso
he
se
makes
murió
whittles him
antes.
down just a little bit more and uses up more and more of his sweat. Without a break, he can eventually run out.
Whereas Reze can effectively create bombs without respite and from a distance.
Unlike Bakugo, who usually likes to get up close and personal.
Furthermore, her devil hybrid physiology gives her an actual regenerative healing factor, allowing her to shrug off the same kind of mortal blows that would eventually kill Bakugo, main character plot armor or not.
If this ever became a war of attrition, Reze had it in the bag. Stamina goes to Reze.
However, it's unlikely
Las
it would ever
explosiones
get
ya
to
la
that
tiene
point.
Bakugo.
The biggest factor in this fight was always going to be their raw firepower.
Explosions! First, we gotta compare their 2 biggest blasts. Reze's nuclear light bomb against Denji versus Bakugo's howitzer impact cluster.
And the difference is obvious. Based on calculating their sizes, Bakugo's 300 kiloton explosion was over 100 times more powerful than Reze's 2 kiloton blast.
But that's not all.
Lo pueden poner
Remember
a
the
comparación, por
Typhoon
favor.
Devil.
Coughing baby or not, to create a storm big enough to cover Tokyo's over 2,000 square kilometers, he'd have to be generating more than 400 kilotons of TNT.
Greater than Bakugo, right? But that's not all. Again, Bakugo's howitzer impact once shattered the size of this big-ass mountain. And despite being earlier on in the series, it was ginormous. Almost 3 kilometers in radius.
Pueden poner
Or
una
just over
comparación
2
de uno al otro.
megatons of TNT. 5 times
de
more
tamaño.
powerful than the Typhoon Devil, and way beyond anything
bueno.
we've seen Reze do.
And this was Bakugo before reaching his full power in his fight against All for One. Bakugo takes the final edge in explosions.
And remember, Bakugo withstands the recoil of all his blasts. So even though Reze had greater stamina, Bakugo was more than tough enough to hang on and get his kill shot, especially with his superior speed.
And devil healing factors can be overtaxed with enough damage. Hell, she needed to drink blood a couple times against Denji just to keep fighting.
Against someone as fast and powerful as Bakugo, she would not get the chance to heal consistently, or perhaps at all.
And what happens when devils die? They Bakugo to hell.
The winner is Katsuki Bakugo.
Bombshell, hero, great explosion, murder, god, dynamite.
Boomstack, tienes que
Next
parar
time
con tus
on
chistes.
Death
A ver,
Battle.
¿qué sigue? No. Esta pelea sí va a estar bien épica. Por fin. Gru versus el Megamente. Gru versus Megamente. Sí está bien difícil. Pero bueno, ya se acabó. Ya se acabó. Pues la próxima tengo que seguir haciendo unos shorts y seguir editando el video del circo digital y esto también. Así que pues se acabó el video, pues bye.